Capitol Hill to Wall Street. This is Politics and Profits with your host, Rick Amato.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Rick Amato. It's time for Politics and Profits.
We follow the trends on Capitol Hill that lead to the profits on Wall Street. We expose the hard facts of what your elected officials are doing when you're not looking. And we show you how you can profit from their politics. The American dream is alive and well, and you can be proud to call America your home. And now, it's Rick Amato.
Welcome to Politics and Profits, everybody. I'm Rick Amato. Sammy the Bull Gravano is a former mafia member who became the underboss of the Gambino crime family out of New York City. In 1991, Sammy turned government witness and played a major role in helping the government prosecute mob boss John Gotti, I should say, as well as other mobsters. His name has been a part of American pop culture, and most recently, a character believed to be portraying him was seen in a Robert De Niro movie, The Irishman. After spending 18 years in prison, Sammy the Bull Gravano is now a free man. He has a podcast called Our Thing, a very popular podcast, I should say. Let me welcome Sammy the Bull Gravano. He joins me now from Phoenix, Arizona. Sammy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sammy, I want to ask you, get on a little personal level, if you had to do it all over again, I'm referring to life, what, if anything, would you have changed?
I don't know, change and looking back on history, and you're part of it, I think everybody has things that they would do differently. There's a lot of things I would do differently. But Cosa Nostra was part of my heritage. I grew up in a neighborhood where it was an important thing. Every tough guy in the neighborhood wanted to become part of the mafia. I was no different. I didn't do well in school. I was in a gang as a kid. I got drafted into the Army in 1964 during the Vietnam War. I stayed 2 years. I got an honorable discharge, came out, and I was 21. At 23 years old, I became an associate with the Colombo family.
Your father, like my grandfather, a Sicilian immigrant, he saw the bad influence in the neighborhood. He saw some of the kids, the influence that they were, as you referenced a moment ago, tough neighborhood, tough environment. He tried to get you involved in Mass, Sunday church. What was your relationship like with your father?
My father was, he came into this country, he was an illegal alien. At first, he jumped ship in Canada, crossed the border, came into the country. My mother was from Italy. She came here very young. She was a citizen. They were brought together through their families, two different families. They fell in love. They got married. My mother was a seamstress. My father was a painter. He got lead poisoning and couldn't work with paint anymore. And him and her opened up a small little dress factory. Seemed like every Italian woman who came from Italy knew how to make clothes and sew and stuff like that. They were pretty successful, not a big rich company, but they earned a pretty decent living. And I did go to church. You know, I was baptized and confirmation and communion and went through the whole 9 yards with the religion. And my father would take me to church on a Sunday, see the guys on the corner, and explain that they're bad guys. But he also put in, they're our bad guys. We never cooperate against them. We never talk about them in a negative way. Some of his gumbadas were from Italy. This guy Suvido was a made guy. I got to find that out later. Very close to us. I had uncles who came from Italy. So the way of life was simple. It was beautiful. The mafia was actually a good thing when it started in Sicily and Italy. But when it came to this country, it became a little corrupt. The Italians welcomed them because what happened in Sicily and Italy, they literally were the protectors of the Italian people over there from invaders and stuff. They didn't have law enforcement to run to. They ran to them. And so they were honored. So back then, when you went back far enough, it was a very honorable thing. But when it came to America, it became corrupt. They also protected the church. They were very close to the church. So to me, it wasn't poison ivy. It was something that was an honorable thing. Through the years, I found out a little different with time. I was committed to it, just like I was committed to the Army when I was drafted during a war. And I was asked to kill during that war. I never went to Vietnam, but if I did, I would have killed for the country. And this was no different to me. And I went on, but through the years, it did become ugly at certain parts. There's things I would have liked to change. I think I would have enjoyed shooting John Gotti in the head once I realized he betrayed me. But we were in prison, I couldn't do that. I wish I could change that around a little bit. Now, that may sound a little harsh to your audience, but those are facts. I don't back away from things I've done. I stand up to everything I've done. I did cooperate at the end. I was betrayed. And I already had the mafia up to my eyebrows. And that betrayal, in my opinion, deserved a betrayal. And I left the mafia and did whatever I had to do.
In much of what you say was portrayed in the iconic movie Godfather 1 about how the mafia in Sicily protected the Italian people because law enforcement didn't. Do you believe in Jesus today, Sammy? And I'm curious because it's like your background. It's in our background. Your father was important to him. I was curious.
Now, this is controversial. I think, I don't know if I'm going to get any negative publicity, but of course I believe in Jesus. He was a man. He lived amongst the people. There's a tremendous history of that. He was a good man. He tried very hard to help people. And they say he's God's son and he died for our sins. I mean, I don't understand that part of it. I know I wouldn't have my son die like that for somebody else's sins. So it was a little confusing to me. But I guess each religion has a story. I learned in prison, there was no more smoking, and I wanted to smoke. I saw the Indians had a ceremony, and they would pass a pipe around, and they would smoke. I wound up joining that group, and I did it really for smoking purposes only. But when I heard their religion and I heard what was going on, they believe in God as well, just like I do, just like the Muslims do, just like the Jews do. There's different religions, and everybody has this road, which is called religion, to God. Now, I don't understand the confusion about religions. Seems like we all believe in God, but the path to God is different. So yeah. I don't knock what somebody else believes. I believe in God, and that's enough. When I pray to God.
And Sammy, I got to interject. We need to take a quick break. We'll continue with Sammy the Bull Gravano. When we come back, I want to find out from Sammy what he feels about America's police forces being defunded in certain cities across the country. Good thing, bad thing, what might the outcome be? We'll talk about his podcast. And I also want to find out if he has any insight into who killed President John F. Kennedy. Back with more after this.